lesson, we will apply an example of planning, controlling, and decision-making that is one of the key aspects that we seek with managerial accounting. So let's start. Assume you work for ViajaClick. You are in charge of the company's campus recruiting for all undergraduate business majors. In this example, your planning process would begin by establishing a goal, such as, our goal is to recruit the best and the brightest college graduates. The next stage of the planning process would require specifying how to achieve this goal by answering numerous questions such as, how many students do we need to hire in total and from each major? What schools do we plan to include in our recruiting efforts? Which of our employees will be involved in each school's recruiting activities? When will we conduct our interviews? How will we compare students to one another to decide who will be extended job offers? What salary range will be offered our new hires? Will the salaries differ by major? How much money can we spend on our recruiting efforts? As you can see, there are many questions that need to be answered as part of the planning process. Plans are often accompanied by a budget. A budget is a detailed plan for the future that is usually expressed in formal quantitative terms. As the head of recruiting at ViajaClick, your budget will include two key components. First, you will have to work with other senior managers inside the company to establish a budgeted amount of total salaries that can be offered to all new hires. Second, you will have to create a budget that quantifies how much you intend to spend on your campus recruiting activities. Once you establish and started implementing ViajaClick recruiting plan, you would transition to the control process. This process would involve gathering, evaluating, and responding to feedback to ensure that this year's recruiting process meets expectations. It will also include evaluating the feedback in search of ways to run a more effective recruiting campaign next year. The control process would involve answering questions such as, did we succeed in hiring the planned number of students within each major and each school? Did we lose too many exceptional candidates to competitors? Did each of our employees involved in the recruiting process perform satisfactorily? Is our method of comparing students to one another working? Did on-campus and office interviews run smoothly? Did we stay within our budget in terms of total salary commitments to new hires? Did we stay within our budget regarding spending on recruiting activities? As you can see, there are many questions that need to be answered as part of the control process. Part of the control process includes preparing performance reports. A performance report compares budgeted data to actual data in an effort to identify and learn from excellent performance and to identify and eliminate sources of unsatisfactory performance. Performance reports can also be used as one of many inputs to help evaluate and reward employees. Finally, decision-making. Although this process can be done along all the stages, perhaps the most basic managerial skill is the ability to make intelligent, data-driven decisions. This means that we can increase decision-making accuracy in order to success in this process and become better leaders as we support all our decisions on data. Remember that our approach as administrators, the most accepted method for decision-making is data or science-based decisions. I think this is one of the most valuable messages from the whole course. Let's get back to our example. Now that you did a budget in the planning stage, you determined that only 2 students from a sample of 100 meet your excellence criteria and are in the final stage in order to enter ViajaClick as employees. The rest of them were rejected in the controlling stage as they did not meet the profile. Now it's only a matter of debating which profile answers the questions you developed in previous stages. Can you see? It is easier to make the right decision